Well, hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I am your host as ever. And today is Veterans Day. And I wanted to, it seemed appropriate. I'm a veteran and I wanted to make a video just honoring the holiday and my fellow veterans near and far. And I thought I would do that by what else? Sharing military history books and things that I read and enjoy that just recognize the important contributions of our men and women in uniform, and just show you again some newer military history books that have come across the desk here at the History Shelf, and I thought I'd include some periodicals, some magazines, which from time to time I know a lot of you enjoy seeing. But just to give you a flavor, this is definitely a military history book and magazine video. As just a shout out, and I've got support those who serve shirt on. So as you know, on this channel, I am a champion and a supporter of veterans, and I give to certain organizations that help wounded warriors. That's one of them. But it's a cause near and dear to my heart. I myself served in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force during peacetime. I don't know if I want to share the years because then I'll be dating myself. But yes, I was in the Air Force, and I was in the Air Force for 4 years and stationed at Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska. But I really learned a lot, broadened my horizons, met a lot of really interesting people, a lot of just salt of the earth, good people, had some adventures, and had the very, I don't want to say rare, because there's a large number of people, in the military, but a very unique privilege to wear the uniform and to have served my country. So it's something I am very proud of, and I continue to follow. I read lots of different magazines that, and read a lot of articles about the state of our military today. So like I said, it's an issue that's very close to my heart. So just thought I would share that with you all and share with you some of the things that I enjoy reading in case you're new to this channel. I cover tons of different history, tons of different eras, but military history, you'll see I'll have very specific videos kind of showing new military history books that are coming off the presses. So, yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. And let's get into it. Let's do something different. Let's start with the magazines first. These are only a sampling of some of the magazines I subscribe to, and some of the other military history magazines have more of a global perspective. So I tried to pick ones that definitely are closer to, American military history. Just because, oh, and I should say Happy Remembrance Day too. It's probably over with now over in England. But that's, Remembrance Day is very important. I think I included one book in here for our English friends across the way. But let's start with one of the magazines that I enjoy a lot. And this one was from the summer 2024 issue. But Military Heritage, which has this nice big, wider, they recently, well, not recently, I'd say maybe about a year and a half ago, changed their format. So they actually have a wider display page. It's a bigger magazine, and they've switched it to quarterly. But this one is, let's see, this one obviously has a Vietnam, search and destroy in Vietnam. That's the cover story right there. We've got World War II stuff in here, Civil War, Western history, and sometimes then it'll go into some global stuff too. It's not all, American history, but you get some of it in there. Here's the one after, so this was summer 2024. I love these magazines. I should say, I should show you maybe some of just how beautiful they are. Very, wide, like I said, nice three columns now, so it's easier to read. I think that when they're in their smaller version, it was kind of really condensed and hard to read, but it's a really friendly layout now. And here's this article on Vietnam, and they have a lot of great photos. You don't have to read books, military history books, to learn some history. If you don't have a lot of time and you're kind of on the, you're kind of limited to what you can dive into, check out some of these magazines, because you can just, sit down while you're waiting for an appointment, or, you just got a free 30 minutes or something. You can learn a little bit of history in a short amount of time through these type of magazines. So I really encourage folks to check them out if you're interested in military history. This one is from the fall 2024. This one's got a really cool cover. Civil War, the Siege of Yorktown. Battle of Little Bighorn. World War II, opening assault on Russia. So, and great book reviews in the back. I'm actually trying to find a contact at Military Heritage, because I would like to write book reviews for them if they take me on. I would love to do it, because some of them are very short. As you can see, they might have a feature book review, and then you get these really short ones in here. But this would be my fort for sure, for certain. So yeah, I'm trying to find a contact. I guess I'll just have to write to the editor and just say, hey, do a query, as it were. But yeah, but it's not all American history, military history. Like, I picked two that had the most, American war-related articles. But we got an article on the Operation Barbarossa, and then, Blunder at the Boyne. So, William of Orange, in the battle where he deposed King James II. So it's just really cool. On the Greasy Grass River, American Tragedy, Little Bighorn. So these are just great articles. I just love them so much. I love these magazines. They're so they have a nice graphic element where I miss reading like dense tomes of like 800 pages. These kind of are like a little feast for the eye, as it were. Another magazine I subscribe to is, of course, World War II History. This is brand new off the presses, winter 2025. But yeah, it's just, and it's so affordable, I think. I get a lot of these offers sometimes, are like, renew now, renew early and save. And I think this might be $30 a year. Actually, it might be a little bit less than that. I think I paid $20 for, and it's quarterly, but also has great advance notice on new books that are coming out, like Forged in War, and I have a advance review copy of that one. So I love seeing all the different ads too for the different military presses, or it kind of alerts me to books that I might miss otherwise, like The View from My Foxhole. Heck yeah, like I want to read that. A Marine private's first-hand World War II combat experience from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima. I love reading memoirs, first-person accounts. Yeah, so again, just fantastic. Oh, and I read this book and it was fantastic, and I actually reviewed it for Shelf Awareness Strategists. So again, this is another magazine. If I think these are kind of made by the same, or put out by the same publisher. So, and here's another book I've read and reviewed for Publishers Weekly, Rings of Fire. How funny. And I reviewed that ages ago. So yeah, I think I would love to be able to review some some books in this magazine as well as military heritage. I'll see if I can hunt down someone, but World War II history. If you're interested in World War II history, you got to get this one. And it's available at Barnes & Noble newsstand, pretty sure. This is also available at most newsstands if you still have a physical newsstand in your community. If not, check out Barnes & Noble. Everyone, it's a chain. You can find one. Or you can go to the U.S. Naval Institute Press, and you can subscribe directly to this magazine. And these are wonderful. This is definitely all American military history, and this is simply called Naval History Magazine, which is the official publication of the Naval Institute Press. And these are great. This is the October 2024 issue. Again, look at that. Laty's Enduring Relevance. They have book reviews in the back as well. And I love browsing through these. These are so awesome. I'll read these. I might skip over one or two articles, but I generally try to read, since my interest is so wide-ranging with military history and history in general, I tend to find that I will read these magazines cover to cover. If I do skip one or two, it's because I'm just limited on time, but the perils of distribution, there's one right there. So let's see here. Yeah, check out Naval History. I guess I'm doing a plug here for them, not that they asked me to. I just enjoy history, and I want to share the wealth with all of you guys out there. You can, I think it's $39 for a subscription to Naval History, and you would receive 6 bi-monthly issues. But if you join the U.S. Naval Institute for like a one-time, joining fee, you can get a discounted subscription price of $29. Plus, you'd get this cool magazine, which I should also show you, which keeps me abreast of the current state of, in this case, the Navy and Marine Corps. I'd like to maybe get the Air Force Times as well, and Army Times, but this is the Proceedings Magazine. And this is the professional journal for the U.S. Naval Institute. And these are hardcore, strategic articles, high concept, kind of white papers, in a sense, from, officers serving right now. And a lot of them are very timely. Like, this isn't, permitted and prohibited political behavior in the naval service. So, I mean, they're speaking to what's going on in the world. A lot of these past issues they've talked about, the state of the Navy and the Marine Corps in relation to, the Russia, China, or, are we ready? These are heavy duty type of articles, like the Marine Corps and Army must integrate armor and amphibious ops. And then, of course, and I should say, this essay, is actually from their Marine Corps essay contest, and they've got the prizes in here. So it's just really cool to see what's going on in today's military. And that comes with membership with the Naval Institute, and then I get the Naval History, which is fantastic. Let's see, and then I already got the December 2024 issue, Taiwan 54, First Crisis in the Strait. And then it also goes back even further. Check this out, Sea Power in the Spanish Civil War. Look at this spread. Love it. It's a great magazine. Okay, so that's just some of the stuff I read. I'll show you a couple more. I pulled this one from the June-July issue. This is called Military History Matters. This is I believe a UK publication, but I subscribe to it anyway. The only thing I hate about it is the very small text. The very small font sizes here are hard on my eyes sometimes. But I pulled this one because I think I might have shown it already too. It's the D-Day version, or the D-Day edition. D-Day, 80 Years On, Battle for Normandy, Inside the Allied Victory. And as you can see, the type is super small. Look at that. Oi. But yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff, and you can tell a lot of the books they show are they're in pounds. So yeah, this is definitely a UK publication, but that's pretty cool stuff. And it kind of has more of a global or a European perspective. Freedom's champion, Robert the Bruce. But this one was all about Normandy. And back in June and July, I was doing my special, kind of like my remembrance of the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And you can, if you check back on my, go back to my main channel, the homepage there, you'll see as you go through all my videos back in June and a little bit in July, I've got some coverage of D-Day books and a D-Day book chat. So yeah, that's another one. And then this one is great as well. I love this one. This was from the fall 2024 issue. This is Strategy and Tactics Quarterly. And it's all about Grant's overland campaign. So, you know, I'm a huge fan of Ulysses Grant. I'm a Civil War buff, a Civil War nut. It's really how I entered into a broader love of most eras in history, like across time and space. The Civil War got me into history, and it has remained my love all my life. And the neat thing about, so I have a subscription to this, and I think if you buy it off the newsstand, you get the map as well, I think. But if not, I get, with each one of these quarterly ones, you get a map. It's so crazy. Yeah, I've been getting these, reading these, collecting these. I love them. They're just big, glossy, wonderful maps. Oh, check this out. They have a board game called Bleeding Kansas. That is wild. You can even order maps on here. They always have a very thoughtful prologue to each issue. It kind of introduces the issue's topic and a new kind of war. So I'm going to enjoy this one because as I wrote a paper on part of that overland campaign, which was published. My thesis, or my undergraduate thesis, was published in the University of Michigan University of Michigan Journal, and so I was pretty pleased to have that published. Yeah. So this will be fun for me to revisit because I've written all about Spotsylvania and the wilderness, Battle of the Wilderness. And then, yeah, so let's check out these maps, guys. Woo! Oh, wow. Whoa! See, you can really nerd out, and I'm nerding out. Oh, that's fantastic. Might have to take turns leaving one of these maps up on the wall behind my desk here for a while just to look at them. And anyway, so there's there you go. There's some quarterlies or some magazines. Gosh, we're 20 minutes in. Let me show you some of the books I'm looking forward to reading that are military history. This is a brand new book that I think is out now. Yeah, it came out October 1st, you guys, but it's the brand new history on the Vietnam War by an author, a historian I have enjoyed very much before. He wrote a book, I think he did a history in World War One. Sons of Freedom. Or am I getting him confused with someone else? But anyway, let's get into it. This big, beautiful book. Jeffrey Wauro's The Vietnam War, A Military History. This is put out by Basic Books. I'm really getting excited about this one, which I think I'll be able to start tackling in the new year, actually. I'm kind of booked up through Christmas. But I'm looking forward to reading this take on the Vietnam War. It says here, in the Vietnam War, historian Jeffrey Wauro outlines the strategic debates, military operations, and political posturing of the war in unsparing detail. Offering the most comprehensive history of the conflict to date, the Vietnam War begins in the years leading up to America's official involvement and takes readers through its violent conclusion. Not with the Tet Offensive and retreat of U.S. troops after 1968, but with the fall of Saigon to the North Vietnamese Army in 1975. Wauro interprets the failings of 4 presidential administrations, all of which prolonged what they knew was an unwinnable war, plus years of misguided policies and ineffective strategies like graduated pressure, search and destroy, and Vietnamization that led to ruinous consequences. The lessons of the Vietnam War are more relevant than ever as we continue to contend with America's impulse to intervene abroad to shape the global order. The Vietnam War tells a story of partisan politics, performative planning geared for appearance, not effect, cynical war aims, the sharp limits of military power, and what happens when can-do Americans collide with complex foreign crises and cultures. Yeah, so this is going to be, this is going to be interesting. Wow. You know, I'm trying to do more author interviews, and I wonder if maybe past October, we're in November, but I wonder if I might be able to schedule an interview with Jeffrey Wauro, because there's a lot here. I'd really like to do that. I'd like to have him on the show if he wants to come on my little small fry program. But yeah, this is on my list of new military history I want to be reading very soon. From Basic Books. It's out now if you are so inclined to check it out from your bookstore, your library, or what have you, wherever you shop for fine books. And this is from Osprey. In case somehow you've noticed my arm, sorry, I've got calamine lotion on my arm. Yeah. I think I broke out in hives earlier this week. I think the election and everything else was just wearing on my nerves. But now that it's over and behind, I'm moving forward, and I'm hoping my hives will go away. You know, what are you going to do? Really excited for this one. We're going to head over to the Korean War with this book. And this is The Farthest Valley by Joseph Whelan, Escaping the Chinese Trap at the Chosin Reservoir, which is, if you don't know about the Chosin Reservoir battle, and you don't know much about the Korean War, you really need to check it out. You really need to know what happened there, because it is what these guys went through, and how cold that winter was in where was it? It was Korea, obviously, but I meant what part of it? North Korean mountains, yeah, at the Chosin Reservoir. But and Jeff Shara wrote a brilliant historical fiction novel called The Frozen Hours, that, you know, brought the human experience more, you know, closer to the reader. And that was one of my favorite books that Jeff Shara has written so far, actually. I think The Frozen Hours was one of his best. But anyway, The Farthest Valley by Joseph Whelan, which is a name I recognize. I think he's done a lot of Civil War history. No? I'm thinking of another guy named Whelan. However, I have a couple of Joseph Whelan's other books. He's written a book called Midnight in the Pacific, Bloody Okinawa, and then Bitter Peleliu, which I do have. All right. The Farthest Valley. So let's see. This one came out late October, so just a couple weeks ago. The Farthest Valley, put out by Osprey Books. Let me tell you a little bit about this one. A history of the legendary extraction of the 5th and 7th Marines from a Chinese trap, told for the first time using Chinese sources. Hello, that's huge. Knee-deep in snow and under a leaden sky, American Marines thousands of miles from home watched more snow settle onto the frozen ground, glittering in the fading light. Suddenly, the still Korean night roared to life with the sound of Chinese mortar fire. The 5th and 7th Marine regiments were besieged and surrounded by the Chinese 9th Army Group in a surprise attack at Chosin Reservoir in what is now North Korea. Vastly outnumbered and outgunned, defeat and death seemed guaranteed. Their improbable escape after a week of brutal combat required all the Marines' fighting skills and supreme combat leadership, and it really was one of those catalytic, battles which kind of cemented the reputation of the Marines as being just badasses. It has become the stuff of legend, here you go, and is brilliantly brought to life in this book through first-hand accounts by Joseph Whelan, himself the son of a Chosin veteran. Fantastic. It's Veterans Day, everybody. However, The Farthest Valley also uses Chinese military documents to give a unique perspective on Chinese strategic and tactical failings, which allowed the Marines to escape. Without the Marines, the entire United Nations core strength was at risk of collapse, which would have changed the outcome of the Korean War. This is a compelling history of the Marines' incredible tenacity and of woeful combat leadership as the Chinese gambled away their men's lives and ultimately victory. So, I love any new book on the Chosin Reservoir battle because, again, it's an iconic moment for the Marine Corps and their fighting capabilities and just what they suffered through. It was brutal, and we got the photos throughout. It was bitter, bitter cold. But yeah, from Osprey Books, brand new Farthest Valley, Joseph Whelan, check it out. I know I am. All right. Oh, yes. And then another new book from Osprey that came across the desk here. It's a biography about a ship, which I thought was neat. It's kind of different. Let me get my pub sheet out here. This is about the USS Princeton, The Life and Loss of Sweet Pea by David R. Leik. This is an in-depth history of the U.S. Navy's light aircraft carrier, the USS Princeton, and its operational exploits in the Pacific theater of World War II. This new history of the life and loss of the USS Princeton tells the story of one of the new class of aircraft carrier that proved essential to the U.S. Navy's victory over the Imperial Japanese Navy in the Pacific War. Starting life as the light cruiser Tallahassee before being converted to a light carrier as part of the plan to ramp up the strength of U.S. naval air power, USS Princeton joined the Pacific Fleet in August 1943 and was immediately put to work as the United States was assembling new ships and crews for the Central Pacific Campaign, where the ship played a key role in conducting multiple strikes against the Japanese bastion at Rabaul. Princeton then joined Task Force 58, the fast carrier task force, and took part in the invasion of the Philippines, where the ship was lost. So David R. Leik uses first-hand accounts from archives, such as the Naval History and Heritage Command, to examine the campaigns, aircraft, tactics, command decisions, and life aboard ship during the American Pacific Campaign against Japan from early 1943 until Princeton's tragic demise in October 1944. The book focuses closely on the crew and airmen of the Princeton, as well as describing in detail the toll that prolonged combat operations took on the frontline sailor. So he does a little bit of everything in this book. Not only just talking about the ship, how it was used, the movements, its ultimately its end, but also the experience of the sailors. Ooh, really, really great, complete, maps here throughout. Wow, these are very detailed. Tactical disposition of the task force. Check this stuff out over here. I know it's unusual, right, that I have such a keen interest in these things. Well, maybe not. I think women military history aficionados are a bit rare, but I make no apologies. It's just who I am. I've always been interested in military history, yeah, makes sense that I was in the military too, right? So this looks really good. This is going to be an interesting book about the life of a ship. I had never really focused on like the names of the ships, or as far as like where they ended up. Look at that one. Oh, wow. So like some great photos in here. I'm looking forward to dipping in to the USS Princeton, brand new book from Osprey. Let me see, did it come out? When did it come out? This, yeah, also came out the same day as The Farthest Valley. So October 22nd, they're brand new books. Check it out. Now, I'm not sure if I showed this one to you guys yet or not. It might have been included in one of my D-Day follow-up videos, but a lot of books have been, printed and published this year because of the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And this one tells it from the German side, which is, you got to know, you have to hear from both sides sometimes, to know what it was really like. And this is Fighting the Invasion, the German Army at D-Day. It's 80th anniversary edition. We've got a lot of German authors here, and it's edited by David C. Isby. And this is put out by Green Hill Books. Let's see here. This compilation of accounts by German commanders presents D-Day from the point of view of the officers entrusted with preventing the Allied landings. The accounts selected, all written soon after the war's close for American military intelligence, cover preparations for the invasion. There weren't many. I mean, from this, everything I've read from back in the summer, boy, they were not as prepared as they thought they were. Anyway, and it charts the development of German strategy as invasion looms. They then turn to the ordeal of D-Day itself, including reactions to the first reports of troop landings and a blow-by-blow account of the fighting. Together, they present an unprecedented picture of D-Day from the German perspective. So, yeah, this is going with my other D-Day books. I'll be looking forward to seeing what these accounts, first-hand accounts, have to say. All right, and then I got another book here this one is from Pen and Sword. Operation Dragoon, The Liberation of Southern France, 1944, by Anthony Tucker Jones. Little slim volume here. The Liberation of Southern France, 1944. I have a pub sheet here. Okay, well, I don't have any dust jacket copy here on the back. Whoa, let's see here. I'll read the first paragraph of the introduction. To some people, Operation Dragoon, the Allied landings in the south of France, was just a sideshow that needlessly supported the crucial D-Day landings in Normandy, which opened the long-awaited Second Front. In addition, the resulting diversion of men and equipment hampered the struggling war effort in Italy and Burma, thereby distorting the Allies' wider strategic effort. Furthermore, the liberation of Paris and the political controversy surrounding the French and American armies' expulsion of the Nazi garrison from the city overshadowed a much bigger row over the liberation of the major Mediterranean ports of Marseille and Toulon. Oh, I don't know if you can hear my dogs barking. Someone just rang our doorbell. Oh, Lordy. Anyway, Operation Dragoon, which I don't know much about, so it kind of makes sense that I, kind of would follow up my D-Day readings with the one about the liberation of southern France going on around the same time. So, Pen and Sword Books, another great book. Let's see here. Oh, and then another book by Anthony Tucker Jones. Right, another book, brand new. This might be interest to the folks across the pond as well. Another Churchill book. We've got Churchill, Cold War Warrior, Winston Churchill and the Iron Curtain by Anthony Tucker Jones, forward by Richard Toy. Let's see here. In Churchill, Cold War Warrior, renowned military historian Anthony Tucker Jones reassesses Winston Churchill's neglected post-war career. He explains how, in an unguarded moment, Winston inadvertently sowed the seeds for the Cold War by granting Stalin control of Eastern Europe. Famously, Churchill at Fulton then warned of the growing danger created by this partition of the continent. Winston, after the Second World War, wanted to prove a point. Shunned by the electorate in 1945, instead of retiring, he was determined to be prime minister for a second time. Biding his time, he watched in dismay as Britain scuttled from India and Palestine and weathered the East-West confrontation over Berlin. He finally got his way in 1951 and took the reins of a country with drastically waning powers. Churchill was confronted by a world in turmoil, with an escalating Cold War that had gone hot in Korea and an unraveling British Empire. Communism and nationalism proved a heady cocktail that fanned the flames of widespread conflict. He had to contain rebellions in Kenya and Malaya while clinging on in Egypt. Desperately, he also sought to avoid a third world war and the use of nuclear weapons. There's a lot going on there. All right, so Churchill, Cold War Warrior, and the Iron Curtain. So this looks to be really good. Liking it. So more of a political, not less military history, but a little more political, but still very interesting. This is put out by, I should say, Frontline Books. Alrighty. And then we got another one of these neat little short reads that are coming out from Osprey. It's a new line of books about the fleet, the American fleet. And this is Fleet number 7. That's the name of the series, Fleet. And I think I've got most of the others. I might be missing one or two, but this is U.S. Navy Pacific Fleet 1941, America's Mighty Last Battleship Fleet, by Mark Lardis, illustrated by Edouard Gould. Again, you know how much I love the artwork that Osprey does. This is so awesome. So this book is the first to examine the Pacific Fleet as it was intended to fight, and how it had been training and preparing in the months leading up to December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. Naval historian Mark Lardis explains how, contrary to modern assumptions, the fleet was not wedded to the battleship, but was hedging its bets, building up both its carrier and battleship strength. Most crucially, it had also been developing and honing a massive fleet train, allowing it to operate easily thousands of miles from home. It was this foundation that enabled the Pacific Fleet to adapt so rapidly to the new world of carrier-led naval warfare, and first check and then defeat the Imperial Japanese Navy. Again, some of the maps in here I just love because it really illustrates complex military maneuvers that you wouldn't really understand just by reading a text description of it. Like, for instance, this gives you, this is really cool. Here's a map that kind of shows long-range maritime aerial reconnaissance, and it gives you a sense of how these things operated. Oh, there goes a truck driving by. And I'm sometimes when it comes to things like this, especially with troop movements or tactical operations, I'm a visual learner, so these types of maps are crucial for me to visualize each stage of the event, or the battle, however it's happening. Yeah, so I mean, these books are great. They're just, again, so well illustrated, beautiful artwork. Okay, here's a really nice map. You get the picture. But yes, so U.S. Navy Pacific Fleet, 1941. Well, that was my, and I should end with this one. I've already read this book, and I interviewed the author, Brian Bruce, and you can check out that interview. It's posted on my page, on my YouTube page. It was my most recent video. MacArthur's Bloody Butchers, Company G, 163rd Infantry Regiment in the Pacific War. Go check out that discussion. We went into detail about the book. It was fantastic, very accessible for anyone new to military history that maybe has been a little bit intimidated by some of the more heavy technical books that have been out there. This one is not heavy into technical details. It gives you a really great picture about what troops went through in fighting in the Pacific Theater. And then there's that human element. Brian's great uncle is one of the 4 guys that he follows, and chronicles their experiences from, signing up, training, and then their movements from like Australia to New Guinea to the Philippines, and all the some of the minor islands that they landed on and had to fight against the Japanese. So this was a great book, put out by Casemate. And yeah, I'll probably highlight this one in my nonfiction November video, which I'll be making hopefully in the next 2 days. I'm late to the party, but I will have a nonfiction November video coming, guys. So as always, thanks for joining. Just want to say thank you to all my fellow veterans out there. Thinking of you, wishing you well. God bless, and thank you for wearing that uniform. It's an honor and a privilege, I know, and I'm so glad to be among you. But until next time, BookTube, thanks for watching. I hope you come back soon, and we'll see you then. Bye.